Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to our respected guests, delegates, and friends in the picturesque city of Srinagar. Today, we have all come together to witness and to be part of a first-of-its-kind event in the city, the eGov Knowledge Exchange Srinagar, being hosted by the Department of Information Technology, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. This event is being organized in association with Elets Technomedia Private Limited. eGov Knowledge Exchange Srinagar shall offer its participants a relaxing environment for interaction and knowledge sharing with key officials and experts. It is a real honor for us to have the esteemed presence of leaders with us today. Today we have with us Shri Omar Abdullah, Honorable Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, as the chief guest of eGov Knowledge Exchange Srinagar. A big hand for Shri Abdullah. We also have with us Dr. Killi Kripalani, Minister of State for Communications and Information Technology, Government of India, as the guest of honor. Shri Firoz Ahmed Khan, Honorable Minister of State, Information Technology, Science and Technology, and additional charge of school education, medical education, youth services and sports, Government of Jammu and Kashmir, as the guest of honor. We also have with us Shri J. Satyanarayana, Secretary of the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, Government of India. Shri Vipul Pathak, Commissioner Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Government of Jammu and Kashmir, and the Program Chair of this event. Shri Prakash Kumar, Director of Cisco Internet Business Solutions Group, and Dr. Ravi Gupta, CEO of Elets Technomedia Private Limited. I now invite Dr. Ravi Gupta to kindly give his introductory address.
Thank you. Warm welcome to you all and to the honorable dignitaries on the dais, especially our Chief Minister and the Minister of State. I will give you a brief overview of this event. This event is being organized by Elets in association with the government of J&K, and as you know that Elets is an organization established in 1997 promoting ICT for development. Mainly the focus areas have been governance, education and health. And we have been in Malaysia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Beijing and various other places. We are proud to have 3 magazines, e-governance, e-health and digital learning, which are Asia's leading magazines on the subject. And I am also proud to announce that e-governance magazine is actually completing 100 issues by the next issue. So we are achieving a milestone in achieving these areas of dissemination. Our magazine called Education in Digital Learning or e-health, and our flagship initiatives on e-India, e-Asia and various other state events. And we have been taking these efforts of promoting ICTs in the field of governance, education and health across Asia. And even last e-Asia, government of Bangladesh released a stamp on our event e-Asia last 2 years. So across states, we have been engaging the thought leaders on these issues. And our belief is that ICT can help eliminating many of the social issues related to governance, healthcare and education. And we are promoting this agenda as a mission across India and outside. So as a brief history of this event, we had a last event of this kind in Udaipur, which was hosted by government of Rajasthan, which was attended by various thought leaders. And this event is all about ideas, opinions and best practices sharing from India and outside. And the host partner of this event is the government of J&K, Department of IT, and our various other partners are Department of IT at the Government of India and NIXI, TCIL, JK department of various other departments, and we have our partners in NIXI, NILET, SDPI, and people who have been the sponsor of like this event have been Trimax and Cisco, who have been a strategic partner, and people like Vakrangi, VMware, Juniper, Polycom, various other companies. Like we are trying to bring in this state to open up a venue for local industries, local companies to engage with the bigger players outside the state. So this event is an attempt to bridge that divide between the IT happening outside J&K and inside J&K. So we have companies like CA, Dell, SafeNet, Intel, who are our associate sponsors, and we have the local companies who are Aman, Comtech, Pyramid, and Cyber City, who have been partnering in this event. So this was a brief overview on this eKnowledge Exchange Srinagar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Gupta, for giving a brief introduction of all the stakeholders who have come together and made eKnowledge Exchange Srinagar a reality. I now request the Program Chair, Shri Bipul Pathak, Commissioner Secretary, Department of Information Technology of the Government of Jammu and Kashmir, to kindly give his welcome address.
It's a privilege for me to welcome our Chief Guest, Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Omar Abdullah, the Honorable Minister of State for IT, Government of India, Dr. Kripa Rani, as well as our own Minister of State for IT of J&K Government, Mr. Feroz Khan. I would also like to welcome Secretary DIT, Government of India, Mr. Satyanarayana, and Mr. Prakash Kumar from Cisco. I'm grateful for all the officers who have come from various states, secretaries, ITs, principal secretaries, our own colleague officers of the J&K government, the local IT companies, their representatives, and the top management people from 10 companies which are national level as well as multinational companies. I would like to spend 1 or 2 minutes on the purpose of organizing this Knowledge Exchange Forum. I had an occasion to attend a couple of such forums in Udaipur and in Hyderabad, in Bangalore also. And we realized that there is a huge gap between the local IT industry, which is in its primitive or nascent stage, compared to the IT industry which has come up in other parts of the country, like Hyderabad, Bangalore, even Gurgaon. So the idea of holding this exchange forum was that at least we will be in a position to bring the local IT companies in touch with the national level IT companies and multinational companies to exchange what activities they are doing and probably to develop business as well. The second purpose of this Knowledge Exchange Forum is to understand as to what e-governance initiatives have been taken by other state governments and maybe replicate them in J&K at a rapid pace, and maybe some other things have been done in J&K which are not known to many other states, and they can replicate some of the things from us. The third purpose of this exchange forum is that when you interact in a setting which is outside the government offices, then new project development takes place. It is a good business opportunity for the private companies, as well as very good business opportunity for the government officers and officials to understand what the private companies or the corporate sector can offer to the government as e-governance solutions, citizen services delivery. I would like to briefly mention about some of the initiatives which are a part of the national initiative under the National E-Governance Plan. We already have a common service center, which is a citizen services center called Khidmat Centers in J&K. Our target is to develop and roll out 1,200 centers across J&K, and we have been able to do around 810 as on date, and by the end of this year, we are planning and targeting to complete this rollout. The State Data Center, which is a core infrastructure project for any e-governance plan of a state, is already in place. It is functional, it has gone live, and many of the state government applications are being migrated on the data center now. There is another project of some of the citizen services. Compared to rest of the country, we are lagging behind here, but in the last 6 months, we have been able to push it, and now we are ready to launch 3 services next month across the state, because the soft launch of these services has already been done. Under the e-district project, which is a new project of the Government of India, we have already got the project approved, and we are about to do the next level of steps to implement that e-district project in J&K. The statewide area network, which is the backbone of our all NEGP projects, it is also in the process of being rolled out, and the first step has already been taken, and thus we will be selecting some vendor for this purpose. Besides all these points, in NEGP program, the state government and the Department of IT has taken many other initiatives. One of the initiatives has been a project monitoring tool, which has been already launched and rolled out for border area development schemes. The same application, mobile-based application, is now being customized for 3 more departments of PHE, Public Works Department and Power Development Department. And we hope that in next 3 months, even these 3 departments would be monitoring their projects through the mobile-based applications. We have taken a big leap in the last 1 year in capacity building of officers for e-governance. We were able to train our full range of KS officers, numbering about 150 in the project management, e-governance, project management, and even soft skills in the last 1 year. We were able to train around 100 people in e-governance life cycle programs, 150 middle rank officials in the computer and e-governance and digital learning programs. One of the officers participated in e-governance leadership program, and we also nominated 1 officer for 1 year course of Masters in Business Administration focusing on e-governance. So this has been a major achievement in the last 1 year for capacity building of the government officials. We have also conceptualized a knowledge management portal with the idea that the silos in which all the departments are working and keeping their knowledge to themselves would be able to share across the board through this knowledge management portal. The concept is ready, and we are targeting that we will roll it out by the end of this year. One more project which has been approved from as a part of the administrative reforms, and it involves a lot of e-governance systems, is the visitor management system in our civil secretariat. We will be launching it in another month's time. And some of the other initiatives which have been done is that as a part of the knowledge management portal, we are digitizing all the old records of the state cabinet, and they will be available online for reference purposes. We are also implementing in the higher education department the e-office concept, and we will, this is a pilot project, and if it is successful, we'll roll it out across the government. Another application in the Jammu district is being rolled out for totally automatic and electronic delivery of the permanent resident certificate. This is a pilot project in 1 district. If once it is successful, then it can be rolled out in across the state and in many other certificate issues, which are certificates which are issued to these citizens. We have completed the digitization of ration card, which is a part of the ePDS program, and we are also launching and implementing currently the statewide human resource management software, which will integrate all the human resource issues within the government systems. We have also been able to make the Civil Secretariat and the Institute of Management Public Administration, both in Jammu and Srinagar, on a Wi-Fi system. So these are some of the small initiatives apart from the National E-Governance Program which the department has taken. And then the next step for our department is to start and create a platform of knowledge sharing, and this conference is one step in that direction. I hope to institutionalize this platform and so that this becomes an annual feature, and it will help the department, it will help the government, it will help the local IT industry, and maybe it will develop a lot of business for even the companies which are based outside J&K. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you and hope that your stay as well as other logistics have been taken care of properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for clearing out the vision, making the vision and the purpose of this event so clear to all of us. Also that you mentioned the state initiatives like the JK Pulse and the Knowledge Management Portal, which are doing great work in the state. and definitely the vision that hopefully we shall be having this event on an annual basis. With this, I now request Shri J. Satyanarayana, Secretary, Department of Electronics and Information Technology, Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, Government of India, to kindly deliver the keynote address.
Honorable Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Honorable Union Minister of State for IT and Communication, Honorable Minister for IT, Government of J&K, Pathak, Ravi and Prakash, and all the dignitaries, invitees. It's really my pleasure and privilege to be here participating in the inaugural session of this very important, I would say, event happening in J&K. I think the idea of Pathak, which he has mentioned earlier, that he wants to make a difference now through this event. He wants to make a good and big beginning in that direction. I think it's quite laudable and quite timely, I would say, because J&K has a tremendous potential and tremendous capability to achieve. It is already well known for the fields of tourism, handicrafts mainly, but I personally feel that there is a tremendous potential for development of IT sector in this state. This morning, the Honorable Minister of State and I were spending a couple of hours in the NILIT Center in the outskirts of Srinagar. Really, the kind of enthusiasm we have seen there, the energy we have seen there, the vibration we got there is really worth mentioning here. Why I am mentioning it here in this context is that it is, at the end of the day, it is the youth, educated youth, which is the future of this country and this state, which we have seen a very good sample of that this morning in NILIT, and an excellent facility which is running, which is one of the best NILIT centers in the country, I would say. Sir, I think this is only an indication to us that what is possible. When you have started some initiative like NILIT Center, it is one of the most successful in the country. And why not, in a bigger way, that IT industry should come to J&K and create the employment opportunities and develop the state. And in the NILIT Center itself, there is a scope for and there is a need for adding further infrastructure. The Honorable Minister of State has been requested by the organization that there is need for hostels for both boys and girls because they are commuting from a long distance, and other infrastructures like additional classrooms and all, and so on. So it is absolutely essential, and as DAITY will be very, very happy to facilitate it in the very near future. Secondly, there is also a request and a demand for starting a sub-center of NILIT in Leh, which is also a far-flung area, and that is also a very needy requirement, and it shall be done. As far as DAITY is concerned, we have been pursuing a set of new policies for the last 2 years, namely the IT policy, which was approved last year in August. And the focus of that policy is to promote 3 things, which are all relevant for J&K. Number 1, to promote Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns. And we have definitely Srinagar and Jammu fitting into that criterion. The need to promote MSMEs, which is also quite ideal for J&K, And third is to create incubation centers by giving proactive incentives in that direction. That is also required in an incipient state, nascent state where IT is nascent here. I think incubation is a good thing to do. You will have a number of startups and thereby they grow into bigger companies later. Sir, we will assure you, the Honorable Chief Minister, that because of the proactiveness of the state government, will be behind fully with you to develop the state into a major IT center very soon. The second aspect, second policy is the electronics policy, where we are looking at the production, manufacturing to the tune of $400 billion, which is going to be the demand for electronics in this country by 2020. And 90% of that is getting imported today. So, which is really an unsettling and not a very honorable fact for India as a country. So, our policy, electronics policy is geared up in different directions to improve the manufacturing base in electronics. We have the electronic manufacturing cluster scheme, where we want to, through which we want to promote 200 electronic manufacturing clusters. A cluster is nothing but 7 to 10 units coming together and establishing the necessary infrastructure, for which Government of India will provide 50% subsidy up to about 50 crores for each cluster. So I would encourage the Secretary IT to explore the possibility of locating 1 or 2 clusters, because the climate here is, fortunately, God has given such a great climate to us. Electronics need that kind of weather conditions, and which is ideal here. Why not exploit that? So that is one submission I would like to make on this occasion. And we have also, for the individual units, we have 20-25% capital subsidy. So I would suggest that 7 to 10 units, if we can identify, promote investment into electronics, that will be really good at this point of time. Third element of the electronic policy is HRD, human resources required for the shop floor in large numbers. It's highly employment generating in nature. So the NEELIT Center, this morning also we have discussed that will be realigned, the additional courses which will help electronics segment, not merely IT, but electronics would also be added to the NEELIT teaching courses. And briefly about the e-governance, I am happy that a number of initiatives, both pursuing of national initiatives like e-district and state data center are going on here, but there is miles to go still, not only in J&K but several states. The need for proliferating the use of IT across various departments is very important. If we have to, in a way, help the economic development of the country and create of the state and create the employment potential through IT investments, IT companies coming here, government has to show the way. Charity begins at home, as they say. If you look at Bangalore, Hyderabad and some other states which have gone ahead in that direction, they have started implementing big programs in the various government departments and created that kind of initial momentum and catalyzed the whole thing, and the industry grew there. So in a like manner, e-governance has to be given the necessary thrust here, so that it will attract the investment of private players into the state. And for this to succeed, I feel that the outcome approach is very important. All these data centers, all these technologies, all these networks are of no use unless they deliver a transaction to a person in need. How many transactions are happening? How many people are we touching every day, since morning to night, through electronic means? That is the measure of what kind of impact we are making on the society. And outcome, that is the single most important measure as far as e-governance is concerned. Rest is only detail, rest is only leading to the outcome. So my submission and request here is, let us focus on the outcomes, how many transactions in each department cumulatively how much is happening every day. We should be able to measure what you are able to measure, you are able to manage better. So that's one message I would like to give, which of course to produce a transaction is not an easy, it is easy to say, but it is difficult to accomplish. We need to re-engineer our process, we need to projectize all those ideas into specific time and budget bound programs need to be implemented. And at the end of the day, it is the leadership that counts, and I am extremely thrilled and honored and privileged to see the Honorable Chief Minister himself being present here in such a conference and devoting his time and attention to this important aspect. I have no doubt that once the leadership is there, that is the single most important factor. Once the leadership is there, the rest follows. So I'm sure that an event like this in the next 1.5 days that we are going to spend on the various aspects of this subject, including how to provide more efficient services, how to use IT in education, healthcare, and other areas. So a lot of churning will take place, and a lot of new ideas and new traction, new momentum will happen to this event. I thank Secretary IT and the government of J&K for having invited me to this inaugural session. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As you have mostly and you have been stressing on this point of outcome approach, and this is very important because outcomes is what finally matter. Thanks also for drawing upon the key issues such as HRD resource requirements and other issues which are integral for overall development, and how IT policy is very much in sync with how Jammu and Kashmir as a state can benefit from the IT policies. Thank you, Satyanarayana sir. I now request our guest of honor, Shri Feroze Ahmed Khan, Honorable Minister of State, Information Technology, Science and Technology, and additional charge of school education, medical education, youth services and sports, Government of Jammu and Kashmir, to kindly address the audience. Shri Feroze Ahmed Khan, please.
Honorable Chief Minister Janab Omar Abdullah Sahab, Honorable Union Minister of State for Communication and Information Technology, Dr. Kili Kruparani ji, distinguished official and guests. For me, it's an honor and privilege to address such an august assembly on the occasion of the inauguration of the e-governance knowledge exchange forum, which my department is hosting in association with e-governance magazine. We are happy that e-governance knowledge exchange is being supported by the Department of Electronics and Information Technology and other government departments from the center and states and a large number of private companies. We are truly honored by your distinguished presence. Allow me to wish you a pleasant and memorable stay at Srinagar, which, as you may already be aware, is one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. I sincerely hope that by the end of this two-day conference, you will be able to discover another facet of Jammu and Kashmir. This state is an emerging IT destination. Information technology and modern communication technologies have enormous power to bring positive change to the quality of people's lives. Information technology sector can greatly contribute to the economic prosperity by generating better means of employment. Such technologies can also enrich people's lives by providing greater choice. The government of Jammu and Kashmir is now focusing on developing IT industry in the state and implementing several e-governance solutions. I had the honor to inaugurate our state data center only last month in April. The SWAN is also in the offing, with the SDC already there and the SWAN coming into existence. We can expect a lot of positive developments in the area of e-governance. In fact, many of our government departments have already started putting their services and solutions online, so that the citizens can access information and benefits in easy and convenient manner through online portals. The presence of representatives from large number of leading IT companies in the e-governance knowledge exchange is indeed very significant. Given that the theme of this event is knowledge exchange, the idea is to facilitate exchange of knowledge between various government departments and private companies so that ideas for better e-governance system can be developed. As Jammu and Kashmir focus on modernizing its ICT infrastructure and implementing new e-governance solutions, it will lead to new business opportunities for the private sector. We in the government of Jammu and Kashmir recognize the global nature of information technology. We understand that IT transcends national borders and interest while developing new policies for IT sector in the state. We are not motivated only by local market parameters. We keep the global scope of technology in mind. The state has experienced difficult times during the last few years, but now there is positive change. Our younger generation is close to information technology. Internet-connected devices are very popular in the young generation. Our young population aspires to have good jobs in the information technology sector. They also aspire to be able to access government services through internet-connected devices rather than having to visit government offices and wasting hours of their time. We wish to establish the IT sector as a key pillar of the state's economy. We envisage a future where IT can be a major generator for new jobs in the state. Let me thus boldly state, now it is time for the flooring of IT industry in the state. We are leaving no stones untoward to make Jammu and Kashmir a real Khushaal state through technology. I once again welcome you all in this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for pointing out and raising all the commendable work that the Information and Technology Department is doing in the state. As we move ahead with addresses of all the dignitaries present on the dais, I would also like to inform all of you and announce that after the addresses by the dignitaries and the Honorable Chief Minister, there shall be release of eGov magazine by the Honorable Chief Minister, followed by eGov Knowledge Exchange Awards by the Honorable Chief Minister, and inauguration of eGov Knowledge Exchange Expo by the Honorable Chief Minister. I now request Shri Prakash Kumar, Director of Cisco Internet Business Solutions Group, to kindly address the audience.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister of State, Government of India, Honorable Minister of State, Government of Jammu and Kashmir, Secretary DIT, Government of India, Secretary IT, Jammu and Kashmir, Ravi Gupta and friends. I am representing an IT company here and enthused by the presence of Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister, I thought let me put some light on how technology companies look at this aspect. How do we solve some of the business challenges faced by the state governments? Like any other government in the world today, you are faced with, you have the goals of serving your constituents better, providing them greater satisfaction, increased economic growth, and I tried to look at your 12th five-year plan, sir. And there are some of the focal points which you had presented before the Planning Commission. And one of them is accelerated and sustained growth. Growth employment linkage, consolidation of infrastructure, reducing wastage, building of human and institutional capacities, skill development. And then in your annual plan you have certain items like 50,000 educated youth to be trained, IMR and MMR to be increased, making available quality healthcare to all, universal access to secondary education, and public service delivery in a time-bound manner. Now, these are some of the objectives large number of governments are having. And all of them are faced by two things. One is resource constraint, and the second one is ever-increasing expectation. Actually, I had a PowerPoint, but I was told to speak in 5 minutes without any PowerPoint, and I thought I'll put those in a paper written format for you. So the attempt here is how do we leverage ICT to achieve these goals which have been set by the state government. Now all of them naturally cannot be addressed by ICT, but some of them can be. And what I have put it here, like your e-government strategy, the NEGP focuses more on e-service delivery. The secretary talked about transactions, whether it's certificate issuing, license, land record, and things like that. But there's another one, how do we provide health services to remote locations? How do I provide quality education by bringing virtually the teachers to my remote secondary schools? How do I train my youth in skills by which they become employable? So that's another part, another sector. The next one is, how do I manage my internal management? Information management inside the government, sharing of resources, conducting meetings better, and by not calling everyone from district to capital headquarters or from block to the district headquarters. So how do we use technology on that? And the fourth and very important aspect is, how do I interact with my constituent and co-create with them certain new services? So they become, and we know you are an avid user of Twitter. So that's one way to interact. But there are many other ways to encourage people to interact with you, be your partner in creating the new policies, new things which they require. What exactly the people of your state want. So I tried to look at the shortage of specialists and doctors as per the information available in Government of India Ministry of Health. Jammu and Kashmir position is much better than other states, and especially northeastern hilly states. There the vacancy of specialists varies between 80% and 100%. Here it is 30% to 53%. And these are basically at community health centers, CHC. So how do we bring these specialists who are masters, MD, MSs into your CHC or into your primary health center using technology? So that's one way. And what we have done, sir, in the next hall we have a demo which shows live how this is possible today, where you can bring quality healthcare to remote locations. Similarly, quality health education and training, where the trainer is in Srinagar or in Jammu or in Delhi or maybe even London. And how can you get those people here virtually and have better interaction and train your students and youth so that they become employable. So these two demos are there. In fact, we had worked very closely with Government of Karnataka and MP, and in 18 locations we have put these remote health consultation centers. In last 12 months or so, we have done 45,000 consultations. And we are ready to put up a pilot in your state if you so desire, sir. Another one is service delivery, where people have to go to the department. We started working with one of the municipalities in Denmark. They had a problem, they were not able to expand and cover all the locations. And elderly people were finding it difficult to come to the city center to interact with city officials. So we created a center where in the localities, which are not manned, but they are enabled by technology, as you enter the room, it senses that someone has come. And a person from call center comes on the screen and starts talking to you, asks, what do you need? Even they are able to guide them how to fill up property tax return. Once they sign, the entire thing is captured. They don't even need to put that tax form in a box which is kept there. So that kind of thing, in fact, similarly in France, what they have done, along with our collaboration, similar kind of kiosks have been put in shopping malls where people go very often. So I have, in fact, a suggestion here. Everyone, when we interact with our banks, we go to a call center. Many things we are calling up a call center agent. Can we think of something for government services where people need help and guidance of government officials, but they have to travel all the way from Leh or a remote part of the state to central location or even the district headquarters in a hilly state is so difficult. And it could be audio or it could also be video where they are provided guidance. Internal management is where lots of states are using video conferencing for state chief minister or minister with the district collectors. One of the enterprising district collector in Dhanbad, 3 years back, what he did, the SWAN, State Wide Area Network, goes up to the block level. So he bought his own separate video conferencing equipment and started monitoring each and every scheme using VC system. And with that, the block level employees were not required to come to the district headquarters, which used to take 1 day completely from them. And with this, their implementation became much better and monitoring became much better. Then next what he did, the same system and what you have Khidmat Center, he said there's lots of people in the jail and their relatives go and meet them. Now they'd get only 5 minutes to meet, but for that they have to spend an hour or more than an hour passing through all securities to reach there. And at a time, 5 or 10 people are talking to the convicts or the inmates. So they don't even talk properly through the net. He said, okay, we'll have video conferencing system from the jail to the CSCs or your Khidmat centers. And with in fact, we made a small film and we saw the satisfaction. They said that we are not only able to see them, but also talk to them full 10 minutes. And not only I, but also my children, everyone in the family can go and talk to them. The flip side is the jail authorities don't have to deploy so much of security on that. Similarly, the same system is used between jail and the court. So these are all examples from India, other parts of the state, or from other countries, which have enabled us to improve our service delivery and also manage our affairs better. We are happy to know what Mr. Pathak showed us, the way things are being done here, and I'm sure very soon we'll have all these capabilities. You will have your state-wide network connecting all the blocks up to the state headquarters, and all these services can be provided here. I would like to thank Mr. Pathak and Mr. Gupta for giving me this opportunity to come here and share my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for making this very clear of how technology can help in improving the quality of healthcare, delivery of healthcare, the quality of education, and also service delivery, and also sharing a lot of success stories with us. I now request our guest of honor, Dr. Killi Kriparani, Minister of State for Communications and Information Technology, Government of India, to kindly address the audience.
Honorable Chief Minister, Jammu and Kashmir, Sri Omar Abdullah ji, Honorable Minister of State for Information and Communications Technology, Sri Feroz Ahmed Khan ji, Secretary DIT, J. Sachinarayana ji, other dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, friends from print and electronic media, a very good afternoon to all of you. Actually, this is my first visit to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. 4 days back, I came here. I was there at Jammu for 2 days. For the last 2 days, I am at Srinagar. Yesterday, I had gone to Pahalgam and I had a review meeting at Pahalgam with BSNL officials regarding this Amarnath Yatra. There I have seen the real beauty of nature. Since 4 days, I have been reminded the few lines which I read when I was in upper primary education. That is, if there is a heaven anywhere in the world, it is in Kashmir. Many of our friends and elders say that our life is incomplete if we won't visit the beautiful state of Jammu and Kashmir. It's true. I too will associate with them. Before I develop on this issue, I would like to remind the August gathering that IT and IT-enabled services, e-governance revolution in India is a talked about success story across the world today. This success is mainly because of one and only one person, that is our beloved leader, late Rajiv Gandhi ji. Today, we are reaping the benefits for which the seeds are sown by our late Rajiv Gandhi's 1980s. It is therefore the responsibility of each one of us to take Rajiv Gandhi's vision forward for the upcoming generations. Information technology has seen unprecedented growth during the last decade. IT has not only made significant contribution to our country's economy, but also generated a lot of direct and indirect employment. Today there are around 22 lakh people employed in this sector directly, and 80 lakh people who are employed in this sector indirectly. It is projected that by 2020, 1.2 crore people will get direct employment and 5 crore people will get indirect employment. It is one of the major drivers of country's economy as the sector accounts nearly 5% of India's GDP. Last year, the total IT export from our country is 2.5 lakh crore, which is about 50,000 crores in 2001 and 2. Out of the total exports, 60% export was to USA and 35% export was to European countries. By 2020, it is projected that total IT export would be around 20 lakh crore. Today, 55% of offshore IT works in the world are being done by Indian companies. Even when the economic growth was slowed down during the last year, the IT sector showed a growth of 15%. This indicates the significance of this sector in our country. My government strongly believes that the growth, development and welfare of the society are closely interlinked and depend to a larger extent on how effectively we exploit the prospects of IT. Keeping that in mind, we have taken the challenge to computerize and provide online services in a mission mode, and accordingly 31 mission mode projects in the area which affect the common man most have been taken up. Computerization of passport office, online services from post offices, e-filing of income tax returns, online services of municipalities and gram panchayats are few of mission mode projects. We have already set up 1 lakh common service centers at every gram panchayati level with an estimated cost of around rupees 6,000 crores, and in the next 1 year, we will be opening 50,000 additional common service centers. For robust e-governance applications, data center is very important, and government has spent rupees 1,400 crores to establish data centers in every state capital of our country. For any IT application, connectivity is the main issue. Since 2005, we have spent rupees 3,500 crore to ensure connectivity to 2 Mbps speed till block level. In next 1 year, we are going to spend 20,000 crores to ensure the fiber optic cables are laid up to every 2.5 gram panchayats in our country. It will ensure that large number of online services in the fields of agriculture, education, health, etc. will be available to rural India in real time. Government of India has also initiated a project, namely National Knowledge Network (NKN) project, to connect all the stakeholders in science, technology, higher education, research and development, and governance through high-speed network through NKN. We will connect 5,000 institutions directly and about 20,000 colleges through virtual private network. My strong belief is that next e-governance revolution will happen using mobile phones, as there are 93 crores mobile phones in our country. My government has created a special program to ensure that all services which are being provided now online through kiosks can be provided through mobile phones. To improve the mobile signal coverage in tribal areas, we are planning to set up 20,000 new towers in tribal areas of our country with the estimated cost of rupees 3,000 crores. By the end of this year, we are also going to implement One Nation, One Mobile with All India free roaming, and it will give further fillip in using e-governance applications by the people. Further, I would like to state we are having World Bank assisted project called India e-Delivery of Public Service, where funding is available for innovative e-governance projects. The priority sectors for the projects include education, health, rural development, tribal development, social justice, women and child development, financial budget management, land record management, new and innovative projects including innovative mobile applications, etc. While priority would be given to the above said areas, it may, however, be noted that deserving proposals outside the priority areas but within the broad spectrum of e-governance proposals. I therefore invite the state government Jammu and Kashmir to submit the proposals under this project to further improve the public service delivery for the benefit of common men in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Let me conclude by reiterating that the development of Jammu and Kashmir is high on the agenda of Government of India, and I assure that we will extend all possible support to the state. I wish the conference all the best. Thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to spend time with all of you. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for mentioning how the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology is playing a key role in generating employment and contributing to the GDP of our country, and also in the development of different aspects of the country. Also, thank you very much for mentioning the marvelous beauty of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, of its people and of its culture, which all of us present here are mesmerized by since we have landed in this beautiful place. Now, on this note, I request Shri Omar Abdullah, Honorable Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, and the chief guest of this event to kindly address the audience.
Dr. Kili Kruparani Sahiba, Honorable Union Minister of State for Communication and Information Technology, Janab Feroz Ahmed Khan Sahab, Honorable Minister of State for Science and Technology, Information Technology, and various other portfolios. That's the problem with poor Feroz. His introduction is oftentimes longer than his speech. Mr. J. Satyanarayan Sahab, Secretary, Department of Electronics and Information Technology, Mr. Bipul Pathak Sahab, Commissioner Secretary, Information Technology Department and Science and Technology, distinguished members on the dais, officers of the state and central government, information technology professionals, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a matter of great pleasure for me to be amongst you this afternoon at the inauguration of the e-governance knowledge exchange being held here in Srinagar over the next couple of days. The truth is that in matters of e-governance, we have many miles yet to travel. It is a subject of not unreasonable regret that the information technology revolution, the electronic revolution, almost completely bypassed Jammu and Kashmir, where we were perhaps the best positioned state to take advantage of it, but for the unfortunate events that began to unfold in late 1989, early 1990. I can't imagine a more apt destination for investment into information technology and electronics than Jammu and Kashmir. And we had the foundations of it right up until 1989-90. Some of the best known companies in the field of electronic research and manufacture were located in Jammu and Kashmir. Unfortunately, India's economic revolution, India's IT revolution, coincided with our own period of extreme darkness, and we were unable to position ourselves to take advantage of that. But nothing lasts forever. By the grace of God, with the support of the people of the state, by the government of India, we have gradually begun to emerge from that darkness, where one feels somewhat enthused by the opportunities that are now available to us. Possibly we are now well positioned wherein we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that is where events like this knowledge exchange become extremely vital for states like ours that are playing catch up. It's no secret that if you were to examine the pyramid of states and look at how far states have progressed in implementing e-governance initiatives, Jammu and Kashmir ranks rather low in that pyramid, even compared to neighboring states. I'm not even beginning to compare ourselves to rich, well-developed states. Even our neighboring states in the north have stolen a march on us in terms of implementing e-governance initiatives in their states. But we haven't lost out on much more than time. I believe that we have a team well placed in the state with two competent and well-meaning individuals in the form of my minister and his commissioner secretary. The government as a whole has committed its wholehearted support to both of them and to their department, because we believe that there are enormous opportunities in e-governance, both for improving the quality of governance, and also in improving the opportunities in employment that will naturally accrue from this. I was listening very carefully to Mr. Prakash Kumar's his address. I had a chance to glimpse through the PowerPoint presentation that he would have made, and a lot of what he said makes a lot of sense for states like mine. Very difficult terrain, difficult to convince people to work in remote areas, areas that are otherwise extremely vital. Without health and education, no state can progress. And yet, the further you go from Srinagar or from Jammu, the tougher it is to position doctors and teachers in those areas. To what extent communication technology will allow us to bridge that gap, I would be more than interested in partnering with Cisco in terms of some pilot projects in some of these remote areas, so that we can actually put this technology to test and start making it actually work. The only problem is that we have to balance our, for want of a better word, either prejudices or our cultural sort of thought processes with the reality of what technology offers. And the fact is that we are still, and I'm not just talking about Jammu and Kashmir, I'm talking about the country as a whole, we are a very physical society. We like personal contact. In spite of the fact that you offer people the option of e-banking facilities, they still like going to a branch and talking to somebody behind the counter. They still want to see the guy counting the money in front of him or her so that they know the money is actually there. And I can imagine that there would be some reluctance if I was to tell somebody that, look, you don't have to come to the secretariat. Just go into this counter and there'll be somebody sitting behind a television and they'll sort out all your problems. And I have practical sort of an anecdote to share with you. I have a ministerial colleague who in a previous avatar was a minister in my father's government between 96 and 2002. And of course, technology wasn't what it is today. But being the very helpful public representative that he was, he found that a large number of his constituents would come visiting him with problems and concerns. So he just told them that, look, you don't need to come and visit me. Just fax your representations or your demands to me, and I'll take care of them. But you don't have to come and see me. So by and by, people stopped coming. The faxes came, work happened, didn't happen. That's part of ordinary life. When the elections came about, and he went back to his area to start campaigning, and he told people, you vote for me. They said, हाँ ठीक है, हम vote दे देंगे, लेकिन हम fax से भेजेंगे, आप चलो. See, so that is the problem. That's the contradiction that I'm trying to drive at. That we still thrive on actual physical contact. We haven't reached that level of perhaps emancipation where we are willing to do everything electronically. So yes, I believe e-governance will multiply our ability to deliver services to the public. It will enhance the speed with which those services can be delivered. I'm, at this point in time, ever so slightly reluctant to believe that it can actually replace physical contact or face-to-face contact where that is possible. But where it isn't possible, I'll be the first person to stand up and say, yes, remote availability of medical facilities or of teaching are something that we would definitely be looking at. Even the gradual reduction of paper in our offices. I mean, my state there, again, is uniquely placed to take advantage of the enhancements or the improvements in this, because mine is the only state that shifts capitals. Every year, after 6 months, we pack up whatever we have and we move to Jammu. Lock, stock and barrel. We take all our files, everything. So you can imagine how much easier life would be for me if I didn't have to carry voluminous boxes full of files between Jammu and Srinagar twice a year. Now the only problem with that, again, is, as was pointed out to me by one of our retired chief secretaries. I was chairing a meeting today of our higher education advisory committee, And in that, the higher education department, as Bipul pointed out in his presentation, the higher education department has committed to become paperless over the next 6 months. Now, when I asked the former chief secretary, because he'd been part of some of these initiatives in the past, why this hadn't worked earlier, his answer was simple. He says, we don't trust what we can't see. And that's where our problem is. He was very honest with me. He says, I would rather trust my signature on a piece of paper than trust my digital signature. Now, these are the sort of problems that we are going to have to deal with, that we are going to have to address. Yes, things have moved on from the age when security of data was a problem, when stability of networks was a problem, when speed of data transmission was a problem. We still have a long way to go. We've come a long way, but I still believe in terms of making internet services or internet connectivity available to a larger section of our population, we've come a long way, but with many, many miles more to travel. The use of mobile phone technology to monitor government projects is another area that we are looking at. On a pilot basis, we are looking at the border area development program and taking on, this is where I said the advantage of learning from other states and enhancing on their experiences. We looked at the model of Bihar, which basically has an SMS-based monitoring system for development works. And we said, okay, now that SMS has been replaced by mobile internet technology, how do we build on this? And then somebody came forward with a proposal that you can actually transmit photographs that are date stamped and GPS coordinate stamped so that you can't fake the information. Whereas it's possible to send an SMS from almost anywhere, and unless you can track the tower location, you're not really sure where it's coming from. Once you send a photograph with a GPS stamp and a time stamp, then you're pretty much certain as to where that photograph was actually taken from and when it was taken, which allows you to monitor development works without having to actually send officers from the secretariat right there. All you can do is call up that officer, say, I want you to visit such and such site, take a photograph, and that photograph is available in the secretariat to whoever is part of that distribution list. Now, these are small beginnings that we're trying to make in terms of implementing e-governance initiatives in the state. As I said, we have a long way to go. Another area that I'm particularly keen to see converted into an e-governance mode is the area of land records. I believe there is enormous benefit to be provided to our citizenry if we can make land records, revenue records, available to them electronically. And we are gradually moving in that direction. We've lost, as I said, the better part of 2 decades because the situation in the state was such, and you can't blame a government for that. When you're fighting a crisis, then your aim is first to deal with that immediate crisis and then focus on other things. So, like it or not, e-governance wasn't high on the agenda of governments because they were busy dealing with a whole lot of other pressing concerns of a life and death nature. Today, now that the situation has improved to the point where we can look at areas, I mean, the security environment still remains our primary concern, but we do have the wherewithal to focus on areas like e-governance. Manufacture in the electronic sector is another area that we can now begin to look at because, let's face it, Jammu and Kashmir is not, and particularly the valley, is not positioned for large manufacturing. It's not going to happen. I mean, I can hold my breath until I'm blue in the face in the hope that Ratan Tata will come and put a nano manufacturing plant in Jammu and Kashmir or in Kashmir Valley. It's not going to happen. We are a landlocked state at the fag end of the country, wherein you have to bring in your raw material only to take out your finished product because even our market is not large enough to sustain a large industry. Under such circumstances, really large manufacturing only survives on subsidy. The problem with industry that survives on subsidy is when the subsidy disappears, so does the industry. And therefore, our focus has to be on those areas in which we either have an inherent advantage or they are our core focus areas. So obviously tourism is one, handicrafts is another, agriculture and allied products and services is one, and then you have the low volume, high value products, which is where the electronics industry comes in, where the biotechnology industry comes in. So these are areas that are receiving our focused attention. My purpose of being here this afternoon is to reassure both my colleagues in the state government as well as all of you. I see a number of our budding young entrepreneurs who are part of the information technology sector sitting here amongst you this afternoon. I hope that this exchange of knowledge will be a two-way street where we can share some of our experiences. We recently introduced systems of e-tendering and e-procurement in government systems. We are trying to widen those. So we have some lessons that we have learned through the implementation of e-governance, but I believe we have a lot more to learn than we have to impart at this conference. I am, as I said, as a result of that, extremely glad to have been able to be a part of this. I hope your deliberations over the next few days are constructive for all of you who are taking part here, and I wish this event all success. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir, for putting together all the unique challenges that the state poses and why it is essentially and particularly important for IT development in this state. We now move on to the next aspect of this inauguration session, that is the release of eGov magazine. It is a matter of great pride for us that today we are releasing the Jammu and Kashmir special issue of eGov magazine, which is Asia's premier monthly magazine on e-governance. Carrying the key message by the Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Omar Abdullah, on his views regarding IT implementations. This Jammu and Kashmir special issue of eGov highlights the major e-governance projects implemented by the state government. A big hand to the magazine. It has features and exclusive interviews of key officials who are instrumental in ICT implementations in the state. We now also are proud to announce eGov Knowledge Exchange Awards. These awards have been introduced to recognize contribution of government officers in furthering the cause of e-governance in Jammu and Kashmir. May I request the Honorable Chief Minister to felicitate the award winners, starting with the eGov Champion Award, which goes to Shri Suresh Kumar, Principal Secretary to Government, Home Department, for his This award is for his contribution in introducing e-governance in municipal bodies. A big hand to Shri Suresh Kumar. The next award is for Shri Sheikh Mushtaq Ahmed, Secretary to Government. Presently, the officer is not present, so this award is for Capacity Building Champion Award. We move on to the next award, that is Capacity Building eGov Award, which goes to Shri Ayaz Hassan Moon, Director, National Institute of Electronics and Information Technology, Jammu and Kashmir. Shri Ayaz Hassan Moon. The eGov Innovative Project Award goes to Shri Shakti Singh Jamwal, Director of Planning Department, taking initiative for implementing M-Governance application. Shri S.S. Jamwal. The award for field level implementation of JK Pulse goes to Shri Ajit Kumar Sahu, Deputy Commissioner of Jammu. A big hand to Shri Ajit Kumar Sahu. Thank you, sir. The next award is for hand-holding Central Mission Mode projects in Jammu and Kashmir, and it goes to Shri Abhay Kumar, State Informatics Officer, NIC, Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you, sir. The award for significant contribution for information technology development and government goes to Shri Dara Singh, Systems Executive, Information Technology Department. We move on to the last award category, that is the award for extraordinary teamwork. And it goes to the State E-Mission Team, Jammu and Kashmir. I request Mr. Shafakat, Principal Consultant, to kindly come forward for receiving the award. A big hand to State E-Mission Team. I request all the dignitaries to kindly be seated. And I now request Dr. Ravi Gupta to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
May I request you all to be seated as usual. It is an honor that the Honorable CM, Honorable Minister of State, Honorable Minister, the Secretary IT from Government of India, the Secretary IT of the state, and industry representative all have gathered on the same stage and have discussed about their vision for ICT in the state. So it is about, I think it's a unique opportunity for all of us to listen to these dignitaries, and I am really grateful to them. I would also thankful to the various dignitaries and senior officials who have collected from the various states of Odisha, Rajasthan, Gujarat, MP, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Manipur, Uttar Pradesh, and MP, and like several other states, senior officials who are implementing ICT in various departments in healthcare, education, and the various other fields, who have accepted our invite to be here, and we are looking forward to hear from them in the various sessions in the next 2 days. And I would also like to acknowledge the various industries, the companies from outside this state and here who have all gathered, and also to acknowledge the various departments of the state who are all here, their senior officers are all here, and we are all delighted that we will be spending the next 2 days learning and sharing with each other. I would also take this opportunity to thank the IT department of this state and especially the secretary who has taken so much effort to make this event possible. Without his efforts, this was not possible at all. So I would like request you all to give me a big hand, please. So I invite now the dignitaries on the dais, led by the Honorable CM, to kindly inaugurate the expo just outside this hall and visit the various booths of the various